Closure from the last one. I'm looking for the vibration.
Alive, let's hit the dance floor. Don't work too hard, might break a backbone. Return of the Mac, the king is back though. Corvette and cash, I never lack those. She saw the stone, you know how that go. Fatality, my diamonds that cold. Versace trunks, I hit my backstroke. Knock on the door, she at the back, bro. All I really take is a little taste. Island girl, blue eyes with a little bass. Here for the thrill, I don't need a chaser. Wanna vibe at the getaway. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, I got the semi-four way. Don't step out the line like this a probate. You hit the line and try to locate. This for the time, got time for no day. One, too many, I'm going. Too crazy and I got bad ones and they ready. A good time, so now it's into it, we left that. Can't remember anything, but I know we got lit. Good times, live in the moment, feel like summertime. Obsessed with nature, not a world mine. The room is spinning, but I feel fine. Oh my. Chandelier, limousines. Really think I'm seeing things. Read the line in between. Yellow light, I gotta speed up. Get home to a cold shower. Need that pronto. Look like a rave at the condo. Heck of a night in Toronto. She said, boy, you in Morocco. Pearl white mention in the top gold. Fill up my cup with the pop, whoa. High off life in the spot, though. Running out the visa, really talking to a real life Mona Lisa. Jesus pieces hanging off the fleecer. So much going on, it's hard to focus on the features. I got too many, I'm going. Too crazy, and I got bad ones, and they ready.
Welcome everybody to Tales from Lounge. I'm Ron.
I'm Dustin.
And this is our good friend Brad McGraw. He's on the show again. And you were on just a couple of months ago.
I was?
I thought you were. We did it in the back.
Oh, no?
VIP, that's what
No.
it is. Well, welcome here today.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's here today.
that.
And we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. And he is not only an ex-ICC employee, but he is also a Good Cigar employee, and is also a cigar rep for the last year. So we're going to talk about his new brands, and we're going to actually do a blind taste test tonight with 2 of his cigars. And he'll be telling us about the companies, their processes, and so hit us up with all kinds of questions and let us know what you're doing right after this.
Just want to let you guys know.
And we are back. Hi, Richard. Good to see you on. Yes, it is hump day. Keep on smoking. I love that.
Yeah, hey Evan. Who else we got? Hey Richard. Welcome
Well,
in.
starting right off the bat, what are you drinking over there?
Tequila.
Tequila.
Yes.
I'm drinking some Calamity Gin. And what are you drinking over there?
Tequila from ICC. They're well tequila.
Oh,
Okay, awesome.
Can't go wrong. It's
Yeah.
good.
And we are smoking this cigar right here. Now, I know you can't tell us a whole lot about it, and we're going to go ahead and light these things up, so bear with us just a moment.
Yeah, so this is going to be a blind draw. Told we got a Toro and a box press. I like it. So we've got a little bit different aspects. So Ron over there's got a V cut, and he's lighting it with a torch. We've got a soft flame over here with this connoisseur, the cigar aficionado, and then I've done a straight cut, and I too will light it with a torch. So never had this before. Definitely excited to try something and see how our palate's really taken the flavor profiles and how we can express them and explain them to you. So super excited.
Well, Evan, I just see your comment about what's the most epic thing about epic cigars. Well, actually being able to work with Chaz Palminteri, actually, with one of our cigars called the Bronx Sale, with the famous movie Bronx Sale with Robert De Niro and Chaz Palminteri. That's pretty epic, if you say for me.
Hey, for movie connoisseurs, that's epic.
Yeah. And we did just come out with a subpart from the Bronx Sale called the Bronx Sale Colloidal after the kid from the movie.
Okay.
And we made that cigar specifically for Chaz, a memory for his grandfather, who actually smoked cigars.
That's really
Very
cool.
cool,
I
very
love
cool.
getting the origin stories. I love that every cigar really has its own story. And right
And
off
if
the
it
bat,
doesn't, you're just making shit up. You know, that's what I don't. That's what I don't like about Drew Estate. They make some decent cigars, but they make a bunch of shit, and there's no backstory to it. Well, we just were blending some shit one day, and we kind of liked this one, so we thought we'd just throw it against the wall and see if it stick. You know.
What were you saying? Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say right off the bat, I like that it was a little bit of a shaggy foot. In taking your time to really toast the foot through that shaggy foot and then light it in those initial draws.
Makes it light so much cleaner.
So clean.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the aromatics that it gives in those first draws.
And that bit of sweetness right at the beginning was really nice.
To me, this is one of my daily smokes, like with coffee, or if I'm just not even having any alcohol, I'm actually just smoking this on like an everyday. It's one of my favorites of all time from actually some.
Rhonda is actually not here. As you can tell, we have Dustin over here as my co-host. Rhonda is in Seattle, bringing back our friend Vicky, who moved up there a couple of years ago and decided, you know what, this place is crazy. I gotta go home.
So Rhonda, could you give me some allocated whiskey that you can only get in Seattle?
Bring it home, Mama. Bring it home.
Well, you know, she picked up a whole bunch of bottles of Eagle Rare last time she was up in that direction, but I think she got those in a liquor store in Oregon.
Well, that's good. I'm almost through my bottle. I know that I was enjoying that the other night with another ICC cigar. So now on these first draws, are y'all retrohaling, or
Yes.
is it
Not yet.
Not
So
yet.
you
Okay.
you can, and it's an easy retrohale on this one. It's not one of those like, oh, that really burns in the nose.
No, I definitely get some floral notes.
Yep.
I like the higher acidity. There's a little bit of that saltiness, or almost like a citrus on the back end of the retrohale, which I personally really enjoy. I'm not a sweet tooth person. Are y'all like a cake or a cookies? or
I'm not
brownie
either.
person?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I love pies.
Pies? Oh.
Pie's my biggest weakness.
I'm not a big sweet fan at all. You know, about the only thing I really like is a Reese's peanut butter cup. You know.
Oh,
There you go.
I actually, lately, I've been having a kick of like eating a spoonful of peanut butter for my. Don't know why, but it's good.
No.
I need to trim my dog's nails. I may have to use some peanut butter to
Nope,
keep
sorry.
them occupied. Keep them occupied. I saw a video one time of a guy had put saran
Peanut
wrap
butter,
on,
yes, on the forehead.
on the forehead, put some peanut butter on it, and then he was able to cut his dog's nails. I may have to do that for both my dogs.
I couldn't do that with my dog. He would still know it sounds like bloody murder if I try to cut his nails.
Well, Rhonda said she's gotten 2 bottles of Eagle Rare already. I
like
hope
that.
one of them's for me.
And one's for me.
No, but I'm really liking the flavor profile on this first initial light as well. It's not harsh. It's super subtle as it eases into the palate. Like I could smoke this first thing in the morning, maybe a spring morning or a cool evening on the patio.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely
Speaking
interested.
of, we need to have a cool night out on the patio soon.
I mean,
always down.
yeah, if we can get through this bipolar Texas weather. I mean, people are saying it's hot, especially people who aren't from Texas. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, we're just in the preheat of summer.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
wait until August.
It's
Yeah.
gonna get a lot hotter.
Well, and I want to apologize because I thought we had enough rain to sustain the backyard for a while, but the backyard is about burn up. I'm gonna have to start using the water sprinkler on it.
No, Evan, we're not going to put peanut butter somewhere else. I'm sorry. That's a no-go for
That's
me.
just wrong. Just
As
wrong.
Randy Jackson, that's a no for me, dog.
No for me. So another question. So
Yes.
I know that y'all are drinking different spirits. Did y'all eat anything before trying this kind of blind draw test?
No, I have not had anything to eat since
Okay.
lunch.
I only had one thing. It was turkey tacos. And I made turkey tacos from home. Or my fiance made turkey tacos.
Turkey, anything other than turkey at Thanksgiving is just wrong on all levels.
How's it going,
Turkey,
bro?
turkey tacos, turkey sausage. I mean, it's just wrong.
Well, I actually had the margarita pizza here at ICC before this, and as they drizzle a little bit of balsamic, I really like. I think
I love
that
balsamic.
has kind of complemented a little bit of the flavor
Well,
profile.
yeah, it hits
to
that
the
pineapple that's on it, and just evens it
pineapple
out.
on a margarita pizza.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he's one of those. Like pineapple on pizza. Do you think broccoli should be on pizza?
I've seen it
Broccoli?
before, but no.
Same.
No.
I don't eat a lot of rabbit food. I mean, I love broccoli, but
It's funny. I love spinach. Like cream spinach is I love cream
I
spinach.
can't eat spinach anymore because every time I do, I have to do a Popeye impression. I am what I am.
We should have had pipes instead, so we could have really been Popeye.
That's right.
I've actually never smoked a pipe.
What?
Yeah.
I would love
Hey,
to teach you one of these.
Buy
days.
you one. I've got plenty of tobacco.
I have one. I've actually have some phenomenal like Dunhill tobacco still in the tent.
Ooh.
I know that my grandfather was big during World War II and afterwards smoked
then
a
we
pipe.
need to. Then you need to do a patio night and we'll smoke pipes.
It's a totally different ritual though. It's a different technique to continue to smoke to stoke the flame.
And I'll tell
make
you
sure
who.
it's not overpacked.
And I'll tell you who you need to talk to before you do that, and it's Ted. You know, Ted. I started out with a pipe,
Okay.
smoking with a pipe
Before you went to cigars.
before I went to cigars for about
Interesting.
6 months, and I knew I muddled through it on my own, okay, but Ted was on the show with me and Rhonda, and he just cleared everything up, and
For
it was
sure.
so much easier.
And,
you
and
know?
there's differences too in the type of pipe you have. The length of the stem can cool off the smoke
Yep.
to enhance your experience. The width of the
Well, the big
hole
thing
from that
is
and
It's like
everything.
the whole Gandalf experience.
packing the bowl properly and keeping it lit is
Right.
the biggest challenge. And once I worked with Ted on that,
Right.
I was golden.
On a
In
cold,
fact, I need to have Ted back on the show here before too much
on a
longer.
cold day, smoking a pipe is great.
Yeah.
And see, I would do a cigar, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or in the evening.
Well, and it's so much less effort, less thinking that you've got to do about it. But
I believe that.
that ritual of packing and lighting a pipe activates your brain a little more, and
Really?
it does,
don't know
and
about
there's
that.
more thought put into it than just lighting a cigar and smoking it.
See, I enjoy it. For a long time, I actually never even lit my cigar with a lighter, right? So I definitely don't use Bic lighters because I don't want any of that dirty fuel, right, to taint the flavor profile. But I was one of those purists where I would only light a match to cedar and cedar to the cigar.
Yep.
And
Well,
it's that
and
calmness.
30 years ago, that would have been the way to go.
Right.
But they've done such a good job processing butane so that those flavors don't pass over into the cigar now, that you don't have to worry about it anymore. I got into a weird conversation at Walmart one day, and I'm just leaving, and this weird guy that was the greeter asked me, if it says odorless, it should be odorless, and he was talking about barbecue grill.
Okay.
Barbecue, charcoal fuel. And I said, well, it doesn't mean that when you pop the top on it, you shouldn't smell it. It means that when you put it on the charcoal and you burn it, you shouldn't smell it on your food.
I agree with that.
And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah. So anyway,
Hey, Olden, smoke epic or you're a nerd?
But but
Evan's
definitely
response.
with the cigar, similar to a pipe, I think some people light it too fast. I enjoy taking the time, toasting the foot, maybe having a simple halfway cold draw, and then fully lighting it up without overcharring the tobacco.
what's funny is Dave one time was talking about somebody here at the lounge complaining that the lighters didn't hold enough butane. And then he watched him torch a cigar.
Yeah.
And he's torching it for like a minute.
Yeah, you don't need to char
And
it.
no.
You're welcome.
You're just not lighting the damn cigar. You're wasting fuel.
So I have a question for you guys. What do you guys think of it so far? Sorry.
So far, it's been good, and I like I'm only 3/4 of an inch down, but the burn line has stayed consistent. The smoke has been consistent. I like it.
So if you guys had a guess, what would you think really the price point of this cigar would be?
Price point of this, I would probably be in the $13 to $14 range.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking 12 to 15.
For the size of the Toro, for the Vitola being a box press, for the
But
consistency,
without knowing
but not knowing
yeah,
what it
not
is.
knowing any more than about the age of the tobacco and where it was from. Yeah, 12 to 14.
I think that it has some age on it because it doesn't taste super young, but I don't know that I would put it in the 7 to 10 year range.
Right.
I think
No.
it's probably a little bit younger
2 to
than
4
that.
at the most.
And most of the time, when you have the cigar companies, they have it for at least a couple years before they decide to actually give it to market. So I'm not sure how long this has been on the shelf, but to me, it has enough time where it's gone through the sick period.
Yeah.
It's probably acclimated to the humidor, and it's settled down a little bit more.
Yeah. Haven't had any bad moments with the flavor or getting choked up on it or anything.
Right.
From a bad flavor. Fairly smooth.
It is fairly smooth. Some of it, I'm not gonna lie, kind of reminds me of some of the San Andreas with the salinity, but I know that oftentimes that tobacco as a wrapper comes a little bit darker. So I don't
Right.
know if it's Mexican tobacco or maybe even has a leaf of Peruvian. I want to lean probably towards Nicaraguan, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
So you guys were almost spot on the price.
Okay.
Good.
So we're fairly close?
Yes.
Okay.
High or low?
I like that.
What?
High or low?
What did you say your price
12
was?
to 14?
I said San Andreas.
No, price.
No, price.
Oh, I said probably between like
13
13,
and-
14.
Less.
Really?
Yeah.
So
How
if,
much?
if it's less than that, then it's gotta be, man, I'm gonna say like 1180.
So we were too high?
A little bit.
A little
Little
bit
bit?
too high.
So this
10?
no. This retails 11 to 12 bucks. It all depends on where you buy it from.
Right.
Because
I think
it all
that's good.
depends on how much they want to go on a markup with it.
Right. So Epic lets them, gives them a range and they get to set their price on it?
So we have a suggested price, but it all depends on the shop. If they want to go higher, lower, it's really all up to them. Because we have a suggestion price, but some people choose to follow it, some people don't choose to follow it.
And I think that's a fairly good value too for the length of cigar in a Toro.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So normally when I'm choosing a cigar, it's not just the flavor profile that I'm looking for, but it's also length of time, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes if you're sitting on the patio and you're watching a movie, maybe you want something that lasts an hour, 15, an hour,
And we
20
still need to
minutes.
talk about that.
Yes. Or sometimes you're in between meetings and you have maybe 30 to 45 minutes.
Right.
I might take a Corona or a Robusto. I know takes me a little bit over an hour.
Right.
But for the price point, you get a longer experience with quality.
Well, and I always, and you and I have discussed this, I always think about, when I'm thinking about value, what would it cost me to go to a movie?
For real.
Because most of the cigars that I buy are at least an hour and a half.
Right.
What would it cost me to go to a movie that's an hour and a half long, popcorn and everything else, and if I can get that out of a cigar for cheaper, then I'm better off having a cigar.
Yeah, because it's not just a consumable product, but it's the experience, right? When you visit a lounge like we're at ICC, you get to be around not just friends, but brothers and family, right?
Yep.
You have conversation, you can decompress from the day, you can enjoy a spirit and a cigar. And for me, a lot of times, that ritual alone is part of the decompression period that helps keep me grounded from a long work day, right, of life.
Well, and the other thing I've got to mitigate that time with is, what am I drinking? If I'm just drinking a little Calamity Gin or some Monkey Shoulder, that's $20, $30 a bottle, it's not a big deal. But if I'm, digging deep and going down to the Balvenie 12 or the Dalmore 12 or the
Macallan 12.
Oh,
Macallan
goodness.
12, then, that bumps up my experience a little bit. But it also does the same thing. It bumps up the experience, So I can't drink my liquor in the movie theater. So, I can get a beer, but, at some of them, but.
So one thing I'm really noticing about the cigar now, kind of finishing maybe the first third, is the intensity, right? So the intensity of the flavor profile is definitely increased, but not in strength, which I like. So you're getting more of that icing on the cake, if you will, that I really enjoy.
And you've got a fairly good ash on that thing, which means that the tobacco's holding together.
I definitely like that.
And and again, your burn line is straight.
It's a good burn. It's not something that's tunneling. It's not something that's running or canoeing. So it's been a good experience so far.
Yep.
So where are we as far as regions? Are there any? Are we close?
Yes, you are very close.
So we're close. Yeah.
I
Well, it's
can't tell
gotta
you
be-
what any of these cigars are. I'll tell you that. It will blow you away.
It'll blow me away. Interesting.
Well,
No, but I
his
definitely
is
like
darker
it.
than mine.
No, we actually all have the same.
No, I'm talking
Oh.
the secondary.
Oh, for sure.
Oh.
No, it's been very good and very pleasant. So when you're trying different things and expanding your palate, do you do blind draws often?
Yes.
Okay, so this is something as a routine or as an experience you're doing more. What are some of the takeaways that you get when you do a blind experience? A blind draw?
Because one thing I try to do is like how I think like price point. Like, is this really worth this price point? Because there's sometimes when I'm at work, I'm like, whoever I'm working with, like, hey, choose a cigar for me in the humidor. I don't care about the price, because I don't want to choose something that like, oh, I always smoke this. Let me get my usual. Let me grab something different, because it kind of helps open my horizon. Let me allow other people to, like, they can choose something that I'm like, oh, I haven't had this in a while, or I haven't had this before.
I think that's super interesting, because oftentimes individuals are creatures of habit, right? You find a cigar that you like, you know that it's in your wheelhouse, palate-wise, cost-wise, experience-wise, and oftentimes people will gravitate to the same thing. And that's just a testament to your journey as a cigar smoker, right? Being open to try different cigars from different manufacturers.
And we've
from
discussed
different
that
blenders.
many times. That,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to try. Be afraid to try new stuff, because it is a cigar journey, and if you don't try new stuff, you don't discover those hidden gems. So.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's more than just taking somebody else's recommendation, but it's the discovery of how you like that experience from that cigar. And even sometimes, if there's a cigar that, hey, I'm not sure if I'm on the fence whether this is in my wheelhouse or is alignment with my palate, I might take away some of the things we've talked about, right? What did I drink, or what did I eat, or is the pH in my palate different in the morning than in the evening?
Yeah.
I mean, now you know why this is like, to me, this is my everyday smoke.
This would be an everyday smoke for you.
For me, because it goes great with if you want light coffee. Like if you like kind of a dark, I like black coffee.
Okay.
So like with black coffee, just sit down, relax, and drink coffee. It's great.
I think that'd be fantastic. I'm not much of a coffee drinker, but when I do, I actually like it in the evening more. I think it's just something.
I mean, I even had this with whiskey, and it's.
And I'm an old school guy, and I will drink coffee throughout the day.
Yeah,
I mean,
24/7.
When I was working at Trend, the guys used to comment, because it'd be 3-4 o'clock. I got off at 5. 4 o'clock, I'd go get a fresh cup of coffee. They're like, what? I'm like, oh yeah. I drink it any time of the day.
So, do you think espresso coffee is better than
I think.
I'm not a coffee connoisseur. I learned to drink coffee when I was in the military.
Yeah.
And that's just mud.
The motor oil.
Yeah.
And I drank with a lot of cream and sugar in the beginning, and then when I cut out the cream and still did the sugar, and then when I got diagnosed as diabetic, I cut the sugar out.
For sure.
And so, it's my palate just had to adjust to whatever I could handle. So.
I remember when I was younger, my dad had a cup of coffee out, and I remember I poured myself some, and I was like, this is disgusting. Who would like this? And then I'm like, my age now, and I'm like, now I gotta drink this. I love
Nectar
this.
of the gods. Yeah,
Exactly.
totally get it.
I mean, you're out in the field on a military, in the military, you're out in the field. Breakfast is coffee. They don't have milk and juice and all that other neat stuff.
Right.
It's either water or coffee.
Well, the funny thing is, I love milk. Like, I can just drink milk all day.
Oh yeah. I like milk too.
To me, that's the nectar of the gods.
No. The nectar of the gods. When I worked out at Carrier, I would sometimes have to be in at 5 a.m. in the morning. And what I would do is go get a large coffee cup, put in a thing of cocoa, 6 to 8 sugars,
Jeez.
and then fill it up with coffee, black coffee, and stir it. And that was the nectar of the gods.
I'm sorry, I
And
don't
I
want to
figured,
try that.
I figured if the caffeine didn't wake me up, the sugar would.
And speaking of that, so one thing that was super surprising to me, and speaking with different cigar reps and blenders and owners, a lot of people think that not just coffee, right? Sniffing coffee grounds can be a palate cleanser.
Right.
But a lot of people think like chocolate, like slightly dark chocolate,
Like
not super
salted caramel.
sweet. Yeah.
Yep.
But really, cheese
Yeah.
is one of the best palate cleansers for resetting the pH balance, of your palate to really experience some of the things. Because it also opens up your taste buds, right? So if you really want to have a good experience, maybe a piece of cheese or a soft cheese can help get you the true flavor profile of what that cigar owner or that blender is wanting to accomplish with their cigar.
Yeah.
So guys, what are you guys smoking and drinking right now? Let us know.
Looks
All
like-
right.
I definitely am
We're-
liking this for sure.
Yep.
And the other thing too is the combustion rate has been very consistent, right? So I'm getting an even burn all the way through, but oftentimes, especially when it's hot, right? If you're smoking outside and it's hot, the moisture will draw out of the cigar and it'll heat faster. It'll run more on
Yep.
you. And if it's too hot, it'll taste bitter. And I'm not getting
Yeah.
any of that.
No,
in
and
this
I'm the same way.
draw
When
experience.
I do smoke outside, I'm like, it tastes bitter, or like I get the mildew kind of taste.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not enjoyable. Because there's some cigars I've had, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a great cigar. I cut it, light it. I'm like, this is not good. I'm getting a lot of mildew. And I'm like, it's because I'm burning it way too hot.
burning it fast. And it also depends on how you keep your humidor, right? Whether it's from the shop or in your own humidor, what humidity are you keeping it at? A lot of people say like 72 at 70 degrees or something like that.
Well,
or
Dave,
72 at 72.
Dave was on the show the other week, and he said that they're keeping their humidor, I think it's 64.
And
Really?
I actually like that, especially in the summer, because the humidity in the summer, I actually want to take a little bit of that away.
Y'all take care.
But I keep mine a little bit lower humidity as well. Whether
Well,
68 to 70.
they did a lot of experimentation with that cigar medic,
For sure.
and as the humidity drops,
And there it goes.
Oh,
I asked all over myself.
the
being an
Dave-
asshole.
I will sweep that up.
Dave said that once you light it and it starts burning off the humidity,
Yes.
it actually heats it up, and you do a test on the top, you do the test at the bottom.
On both sides.
On both sides after you've lit it, and it changes the humidity coming through.
So I keep my humidor at 69.
Well, I used to keep mine at 72,
It was too much.
and not only is it a little too much, but I was also anal about it. If it went to 71 or 73, I was panicking, and I'm like, no, there's no reason to do that.
Right.
If it's a little low, it's not too big. If it's a little high, it's not too big. Now, if it's 10 points or 15 points, then you start looking at what's going on. But anywhere between 69 and 75, I'm okay.
But it also depends on the size of your humidor, right? How many cigars your humidor holds. If you have more and it's a little bit higher, it's okay because that tobacco will breathe, right?
Right.
It'll expand slightly, it'll retract slightly.
Well, it also
with the
depends on what
temperature.
kind of humidor you've got. If you've got an acrylic, I mean, that changes everything because
It is.
the cigars are not competing with the cedar in the humidor for humidification.
Which is super interesting because over the last few years, I'd say handful of years, a lot of cigar individuals are transitioning away from the Mexican cedar or cedar type humidors because it does actually breathe too much or restrict some of the humidity.
The only
from
the only
cigar.
reason the only reason I would have a cedar humidor
Yeah.
is if it's a aging humidor.
Okay.
And
That makes
I've
sense.
mentioned this a couple times on the show. The next aging humidor I buy is going to be an old cedar chest.
That'll be cool.
And I'll buy an old cedar chest off of Facebook for 40, 50 bucks, caulk it all the way around,
For
put
sure.
a piece of sealant around the lid, and that will be my new aging humidor.
And the pro tip as well is make sure you season your humidors with distilled water, so there's
Yeah.
no minerals or any chemicals in the water, so that
Cut down on mold.
Yeah, because the cedar will actually swell to help give you a good seal, like you were saying in the lid, to make sure that it's caulked around the top,
Yep.
or the corners, because that can be an issue.
Yep.
Now with the acrylic humidor, you don't have to worry about that. Oftentimes they have a phenomenal seal.
But the problem is, can you imagine what a acrylic humidor the size of a cedar chest would cost you?
It'd probably be but I think it'd be a good investment for your cigars. But you also want to make sure that they're away from the window, right? Because if you have that external heat coming in, it could change the temperature in your humidor.
Yep.
Similar with the cedar one
I
as
keep
well.
I keep my aging humidors in the closet.
I think that's a good way to do it, or on a shelf, just not in direct sunlight, and away from AC vents as well, right? I don't want to have constant air blowing it that might dry out that wood.
Now let me tell you,
that then competes with the
they
others.
ran into something. One of the customers bought one of the acrylics with the LED tray on the bottom, and he left it on all the time.
Okay.
It generated just enough heat for the oil to seep out of the cigars, and he got a bunch of plume on them.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting that happened. And it might have only
And he was worried about that he had ruined them. And says, no.
Was it primarily the bottom layer in the humidor, or was it?
I don't remember. It was probably just the bottom humidor,
Yeah.
the bottom layer for the most part.
I think that's super fascinating.
But he says, hey, listen, if you want to turn it on for guests and stuff, I'd leave it off otherwise.
I like the aesthetics of the LED, right? You don't have to keep it on all the time, but they have them here at ICC, and I think it's a great statement piece if your humidor is something that is in the living room or is in
Yep.
a common area for people to come in. It definitely adds to the wow
Well, it's
factor.
kind of like if you put in LED lighting in your
For sure.
liquor cabinet to highlight your glasses. You don't want to leave that on all the time. I mean, there's no
No.
reason to do that. But when
There
kids
goes your
come over, you
electric
turn it
bill.
on. Yeah, but LEDs don't draw shit for electricity, so.
True.
So it's interesting. So this cigar is kind of mellowed out in the second third from the intensity, but it's still been extremely consistent throughout as far as draw, as far as flavor profile.
What does this cigar kind of remind you of?
Goodness. I'm not sure. I mean, because there's some factors that are super distinct. So I don't know if I could put my finger on exactly what it would be compared to.
Is there any kind of
Well-
cigar that kind of resembles that you're like, oh man, this is very similar to like a Padron?
To me, it has a little bit more brightness in the
I don't
cigar. than a
think this is
Padron.
I don't think this is San Andreas leaf for a wrapper.
No.
But I do believe it's a broadleaf.
Okay.
I'm just making shit up at this point. So let's go to the next cigar,
Yeah.
and then you tell us what this is.
I can't do that yet. I'm gonna wait until.
Okay. Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
gonna say-
So let's kind of have the experience
Set that
of
over
the
there for
second
me.
one.
Yeah.
So this is also a box press Toro.
Yes.
A little bit different in color, so it's a little bit lighter in the shade. It's got definitely more of an oily wrapper, not a shaggy foot. So this, on the foot, the smell is a little bit more robust, a little bit more earthy, I think, than the other cigar. So I'm interested to see how this one would compare. Now I don't have cheese or chocolate to try to cleanse my palate, so I'm just going to do it tequila. I mean,
Tequila is always good.
for sure.
And it's funny, I used to not be into tequila, but now I love tequila.
Oh yes.
Oh, dude, I'd had too many bad nights with Jose Cuervo, and I didn't drink tequila for 20 years. And I came in here one night, and Adrian Barunda turned me on to that Casa Azul,
Oh, which is fantastic.
and I go, "This is tequila?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said,
So there is one tequila you guys need to try. I know they don't have it here, but it's called Tequila Sheila. I really like that one. It's like 100%, very smooth. Like it doesn't have a weird aftertaste.
I want to get Casa Azul tequila in here.
Okay.
It's not available in the U.S. Occasionally, Edgar Hoyle would bring it in from Mexico, and that stuff is good.
Edgar's just great in general.
This is interesting off the initial light, for sure. So when I said brightness, right, for the other cigar, it's not as strong or prominent, but had sushi today for lunch, right? And of course they give you the ginger and the wasabi, and that feeling when you have a little bit of wasabi from that acidity,
And it
and then
cleans out your sinuses.
So
I got a light factor of that with the first cigar. This one's definitely a little bit different.
I was thinking this was a Connecticut wrapper, but it's not a Connecticut wrapper.
It's not. It's a little bit more earthy. I'm getting like sandalwood or like wood type notes. And
smoke
tobacco.
The smoke is much thicker on this cigar than the other one too.
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's just different. That was more of like a silky. This is more of almost like a velvety type smoke that like envelops the palate, and then you kind of feel through that.
Well, you know, Stephen Rios was smoking a cigar one time, and he's just puffing on it, and somebody asked him, "Why are you puffing on that? I'm not getting any smoke out of it." He goes, "It's not a high smoke cigar, you know."
Right.
And so he goes, "That's a thing," and that's when he started paying more attention to the smoke output of the tobacco,
Right.
Because he likes that full blown smoke out of a cigar.
And it's
I do too.
And it's interesting too that you say that, because we all have different cuts, right? So you did a V cut on this box press. You did an angle cut or reed cut or bias cut, how people say it. And I've done a straight cut. So technically with a V cut, you have a little bit cooler of a draw, right?
Right.
And it's a little bit more precise across your palate. Now with an angle cut, depending on how you do it, do you have it with the angle up or down on your palate? So when he smokes, that smoke is coming across the top and it's positioning itself directly over your palate. And I'm just doing it old school with the straight cut. So
I also have a cigar knife if you want to try that too.
oh, those are always fantastic. Only cut cigars with them. I don't really use them for other knifing purposes, but yeah. I'm actually getting a little bit of almost front end Lajero. So I know that some cigars do that. Padron does that oftentimes.
Yep.
And they call it a pepper bomb by front loading maybe the first quarter inch or half inch with Lajero. Some people don't like it. It is part of the experience because it awakens you with that pepper flavor. And then as it settles into the cigar, your palate's awake and you can kind of taste other flavors.
So which one do you think you like more?
Let me get a little bit further into this.
Because they're both good
to see.
sticks.
Yeah.
I mean, at least so far. But yeah, I'm getting that peppery on the.
But it is different
in this
because in the first third you're getting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But typically, as a person who smokes cigars for about 20 years now, my palate has changed. When I first started, I wanted big, bold, robust flavors. I wanted to really almost chew on the smoke. And as I've gotten older, in my experience, I like the complexity of some of the cigars, but I also enjoy the smoothness of the experience.
I think
Right.
I don't know if it was you, but I remember when I worked here, someone gave me a Jacob's ladder.
Oh my
That was
God.
not me. That is not
That-
something I
Someone
smoked.
gave that to
That
me
is a
on
bold cigar.
an empty stomach, and I had no idea what to expect from it. But I felt like I was drunk. I was like, man, this hurts my
Nicotine
stomach.
overload.
And I had nothing in my stomach. Did not even have another cigar. I had that. And I remember I was like, I can't do this. I'm literally sweating, and luckily I was able to get off work, and I just went to the shower, and I just was like, oh my gosh, what happened?
One thing I am noticing, so depending on different tobaccos that are used and how they're fermented, right, how they're cured, sometimes they can create a smoking experience that causes you to salivate. Some people actually feel the need to spit at times.
Oh yeah.
This second cigar, to me, has a little bit of a drier smoke. So it's not causing me to salivate. I'm getting it, so maybe it is less oily in the cigar than the first one, but it is a different smoking experience just off the front end. This is definitely one that I think I would have after I've eaten something for sure.
Yep.
Or if you're pairing it with something more robust, like a bourbon or
scotch,
a whiskey,
yeah.
a scotch, or possibly even barbecue, right? Some people in Texas oftentimes we don't put sauce on our barbecue, but if that's the type of person you are, I think that would pair very well. I think this one has Lajero in it, and the other one doesn't. So I'm noticing some of those differences.
I like it. And again, what they're using for a binder is dead on, clean lines, clean burn.
Yeah.
What would you make this be price wise?
This price wise, man, I think they're both probably maybe a little bit comparable, but because this is blind, because I'm not sure of brands and the reputational aspect that can influence the price as well, I think that this one's actually priced a little bit higher. I would probably put this one at maybe the $14 to $16 range.
I'm gonna go 13 to 15.
Higher.
Higher.
Really?
Interesting. So this could possibly be like a 16 to
18
and a half.
Higher.
Really?
Yes.
I hate to kill you, but I wouldn't pay 20 for it.
So if we're getting to a higher price point, and this being a blind draw, you know what these are,
Yes.
right? So I have to ask, do you believe that the price point is reflected on potential brand image?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, oftentimes that does influence, right? Just because it's a higher price cigar from a brand, is it the right experience for you? And that's what I would tell to any new cigar smoker.
Jacob.
But it's really interesting too.
So-
because
Give me a charcuterie
because from
board.
this, the additional question is, at that price point, from this brand, is it something that they can produce in quantity for consumers and be consistent? Because if you're telling me that, I'm not thinking that this is a newer brand cigar, but it might be. But that's what it would just lead me to say, hey, this is maybe a company that's more established, and they can produce not only volume but consistency over years.
So for me telling you this is a little bit higher price, would you want to smoke the first one more or the second one?
It really kind of depends. So the other one is a Toro box press, but it's
Yes.
a full, almost cube type box press. This is a little bit different. It's more of like a rectangular type box press. So because I don't typically see that type of shape, I'm thinking that may be a newer brand, right? From this actually tastes more almost like a like a Dominican type type of leaf.
Yeah.
With the spices that it has, right? It's got a little bit more earthiness, maybe a little bit more grit, if I dare say, to the cigar palate. But this is something that I started out with. A lot of sun-grown, a lot of Connecticut's. You'd smoke out on the boat and have this. I feel like the other one, I would want to sit and pay attention a little bit more to, like you were saying,
Right.
certain cigars. So for me, it is hard to say because I know that I've gravitated to this a lot more. But I do genuinely like the first cigar.
Well, and one thing I am noticing, it's a faster smoke than the other one.
Yeah.
So I've got to consider that as far as price, point, and experience.
For the experience purpose.
Exactly.
Right.
So is this gonna value wise compared to the other one as far as the movie theater goes?
Do you believe that we've smoked something like this before?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, absolutely.
Because you gave it to us?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if I can put my nose on where it would be. Some of the like the Espinosa Laranja has a real brightness to it that I like, and this is starting to get to that aspect. Again, I've got just a different palate, so I kind of think it might be something like that, or goodness, where would I place this?
Because I know for a fact you guys both had these before.
Now you've got me thinking.
I mean, it's definitely enjoyable, and I do think they front loaded it with a little bit of Lajero.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's settled down quite a bit.
But do you understand kind of why I like the first one a little bit more?
I will say, if I were bringing a new cigar smoker into the lounge to have an experience, I would probably point them in the direction of the first cigar for not only the smoothness and consistency, but also price point and type of vitola, right? For that, oftentimes people want to have the most for their money.
Right.
And other times, this might be more boutique or niche for somebody who has a specific flavor profile that they're wanting to taste.
So you want me to tell you what this one is?
Sure.
This is a Padron 1964.
This is definitely not the Maduro though. This
No.
has got to be a natural.
It is.
Gotcha.
What is it?
A Padron 1964.
Which
okay.
is what I hit on the head.
But you know
Exactly.
what? I'm not a big fan of the Patoro line.
No, not Patoro, Padron.
I mean Padron.
which I think is fantastic. My first cigar was a Padron 1964 anniversary Maduro, and so it definitely brought me back to that, but it wasn't as bold or spicy as the Maduro.
And it's amazing because if I didn't give you guys this, you guys would have not known what it was. You thought, you did say Padron at first, but then you also said Espinosa Crema. Then
Yes.
that's why I was
So
like,
it's
okay.
like interesting, yes. Well, the Laranja, the orange band.
Oh,
one,
yeah.
Right. I like the difference because it does
Yes.
taste different than some of the other ones. But yeah, it's that front end pepper is so distinct.
The first good cigar I ever had was the Padron 1925,
Okay.
and I liked that. But I've never been a big fan of the 64s. You know.
They made it 25? 1920?
I'm not sure.
I thought 24. I did not know that. But
In fact, I can tell you the exact circumstance. I was working in Grapevine near the airport,
Right.
and I went to that little tobacco shop there in
Cigar Soul
Grapevine.
Grapevine?
Yep.
Okay.
And the owner was there, and I said, listen, if I wanted to smoke something special for a special event and everything, what would you recommend? What's your favorite cigar in the humidor?
For sure.
And he pointed me to the 25, and he said, hey, listen, have a nice meal, and then have this. and he was dead on. It was a great cigar, and you know it was a $25 stick, which you know I didn't think was too much for a cigar at the time, and the 64 I hadn't been a huge fan of, but the 25 I really did like, and so but I don't smoke a lot of those anyway because there's so many boutique brands out there that are better.
That's why I said, if you had a guess, and I said higher.
Yeah. So immediately when you said that, I was like, this is an established brand.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because not only do they know the quality of the product, they have the ability to produce at higher levels, like quantity-wise,
Yeah.
with consistency. And when you have that, that's what led me to believe, okay, this is a more expensive smoke for sure.
Yeah, it's probably been 4 years since I had a Padron.
And most of the time when I go to places, I do like the Anniversary 64 Exclusivo. I really like the Damaso. So I'll smoke that with like a Four Roses,
Yep.
single barrel. And the sweetness of the spirit that I'm drinking does kind of smooth out some of the acidity or flavor profile that I'm having.
So tell us about the first cigar.
So the first one is actually the Natseco 1965.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's
Don't believe I've had that before.
No, exactly. That's why I was like, I really did not want to spoil to you guys. Like, oh, surprise! This is one of the brands I work with.
Well, we expected that. I mean, come on.
But if I told you guys, like, oh, hey, you guys are gonna have the 1965 Natseco and then the 1964 Padron.
Right.
Do you think you guys
Right.
really would have kind of knew?
But you know what? That's the beauty of a blind draw is
For sure.
you're trying new stuff, you're getting new experiences, and finding stuff that you should be buying as opposed to what you aren't.
And it's surprising when I first had the first one. I was like, this is similar to a Padron, but not identical.
But not identical.
Like I call it like the Padron cousin that he never knew he had. Because how smooth it is, how it's not a punch in the face.
It's not, it really was not. It was extremely consistent, which I appreciated. Unless you're going into a cigar experience that you know is going to be complex. Because some blenders do that on purpose, right? They want to take you on a journey, and some want to have a consistency from foot all the way to the end. I think it's been extremely enjoyable, so thank you for the experience.
You're welcome. And that's why I'm really am glad I'm able to enjoy this with you guys.
For sure. For sure.
And Rhonda missed out.
I know.
Sorry, Rhonda, I missed out.
Maybe
girl.
when I see you next, Rhonda, I'll do the blind and let you try, so you can try to guess which one is which. Because, I mean, I love that first one. That's really why I told you it's my daily smoke.
And I think that would be an easy decision for sure.
So tell us, you got the Nico, and then you
Nika. Natseco.
Natseco, there you go.
and the Epic. But you picked up the Natseco here recently, correct?
Yes. So I've been with Epic and Natseco recently, but I've got the luckily fortunate that I can work with both brands, and also I do have a wholesale account too, so it kind of helps.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a little bit of a side-by-side between both, because I'm super curious.
I think
now.
that's a good idea.
I've done it already, so you guys can do it.
This isn't the first time I've had multiple cigars at the same time.
Hey, at least so you're not like 6 cigars.
Well, the other good thing about not just doing a blind taste testing, but doing a side-by-side allows you to smoke maybe something that is consistent that you know is going to be, and the other thing to compare. So when I first was getting into the cigar experiences and wanted to learn more about how do I expand my palate, I was taking something that I knew was going to be extremely consistent, and then I was doing that side-by-side comparison.
And I definitely like the Natseco better than the Padron.
What about you?
It's good. I mean, I love a good Patron, so it's definitely hard for me.
So, yeah, so the Nat Seco 1965 actually got ranked 93 on Cigar Aficionado
For sure.
before. And back in December, I believe. And I know Cigar Aficionado is biased with some people, but it's kind of impressive how some people are like if they see a cigar on Cigar Aficionado, some people see that and they're like, I want to try that cigar. They will do whatever they can do, like try to find where it is or buy it online.
Well, Dave's joked several times about, when you do advertising for aficionado, there's two contracts. The first one is for your advertising, and the other one is where do you want to show up in the top 25 in aficionado? And so that you say it's biased. It's biased because of marketing.
Yeah.
You're paying for that to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I'm curious as well, are the tobacco regions between the two cigars, are they similar?
Yes.
Okay.
So tell us about the tobacco in this one.
That's the Nat Seco, sorry.
Yeah.
I had to double check.
I understand.
So it is Dominican, and it's a Habano wrapper.
It's a Habano wrapper, okay.
Habano seed,
But it's not a Mexican San Andreas.
No, not a Mexican San Andreas. And it's truly, it's a Habano seed, and it's, sorry.
I definitely like the brightness of both
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, so it's,
If I have to choose between the two to finish on the show, the Nat Seco is the
it's like an Ecuadorian Habano, a Nicaraguan Habano, Nicaraguan filler.
Interesting. Okay.
And
So I think we were kind of right on
Yeah.
with the regions.
Yep.
Or,
Well, I said Nicaragua, so.
and that's why I did not want to say, release like, hey,
yeah.
but it's just, it's, I literally, when I met Dean, the owner of Epic, he actually sat me down, and no one was at the shop I worked at, and we literally, he said, he took off the band and he said, smoke this, let me know what you think of it. I'm smoking it, I'm like, I like this.
Right.
Like, and he did not tell me price, he did not tell me, and I was not hired right on the spot. I had to wait until to find out if I got the opportunity.
Right.
But he was like, what do you exactly think of this? And I said, I really like this. I would smoke this every day if I had a chance. Like he said, well, what would I tell you if this was a $11 to $13 stick? I was like, what? Because you really, when you think of price, some people think, oh, this definitely belongs in that price.
Right.
But it all depends on that person. But like
Yeah, definitely price and value.
Yeah.
But it's been a good experience, Ron. I really appreciate
Well, you know what?
it.
And at that price point, it's not a bad price point at all. I mean, making it a regular in your rotation for everyday smokes is almost a no-brainer.
I agree.
It's kind of like the white label principle, accomplice. It's at that price point where
That's a phenomenal.
you can drop $120, $30 for a box, and you're a happy camper.
And it just, whenever I do go to shops and I try to, I give a lot of these away because so many people want to try it. They want to see what the whole hype is about it.
I think that's good. You got to get it in the hands of the consumers. You got to get the word out there if there's something that you think is of value that you want people to try. And then the consumers really have to take it from there, right? You definitely market it, but if it's something that you can provide that the manufacturer can make consistently in quantity.
They make it always consistent,
great.
and that's It's something. It always blows me away. I'm like, that's why I'm like, this is my. I could make this be my daily smoke. That's why I'm always so out of them, and I always like say, I need more samples.
That's awesome. That's a good problem to have for sure.
And like I went to a shop and we kind of did the exact same thing. They did a blind tasting of this, and a lot of them were like, I think I like that first one a lot more. And I could not say what it was, but I knew what it was. The owner knew what it was, but I'm like, and some people were like, I like this. I would do this on a fresh palate, haven't smoked anything all day.
For sure.
And it just, and I was.
Well, and you know what? This actually, that one actually started to run a little bit on me, the 64. But again, the burn lines on this one are still dead on. I mean, just the quality is there, you know, which is another thing you got to be very conscious of when you're smoking your buying cigars and doing tasting and stuff. Is how is it burning for you? You know, are you having a lot of problems out of it? And this one has been dead on. The quality is there, the flavor's there, the price point's phenomenal.
And that's something that they really try to focus. Arthur and Dean, Arthur owns Xander Gregg and Nat Seco. And Dean Parson owns Epic Cigars. But they focus on, they work together. They're like, okay, what could we make this price point be?
Yeah.
And they really wanted to make this cigar for that person that doesn't want to spend that $26, $24, or they want something that's consistent, that's very like, oh, I could buy a box of these and it will still stay the same.
For sure.
Like I said, the box price point is dead on. I mean, yeah, do they come in 10s or 20s?
They come in 20s.
Okay. So yeah, a couple $100 and you've got a great 20 pack and won't break the bank.
And the box even looks like a Padron too.
Really?
Yeah. I wish I brought the box and show you guys, but it's hilarious because I'll take a picture of it and send it to you guys. But it's has the whole cover sheet just like Padron does, has the ribbon and everything. It's just they really made this just to like say, you know what? I can smoke this. This is an easy. Do it with a match. Do it with a jet lighter. Do it with soft flame. It just. That's why cigars are great. Oh, there's a fight going on. Sorry. It's amazing how cigars of us are really all like you started as a pipe smoker. You started as a cigar smoker. I started as a cigar smoker, and then I did a little bit of pipe, but I'm now into pipe smoking. I'm also into don't judge me, but I'm now dipping, but I'm doing like kind of like Zen, but it's not called Zen. It's just like
as long as you're not vaping.
No. Like
or smoking Gurkha, we're all right.
Oh gosh, no. That's why I did not want to do a comparison. Like, here's a Gurkha and here's my brand. Try to decide it, and then you're gonna probably say, "This is shit. That's that."
Yep.
But it's just that's why I love hanging out with you guys, because you guys honestly give me the honest feedback instead of like, "Oh, this is a good cigar," or "This is okay cigar."
Absolutely.
I'd rather have that instead of like, "Oh, this is a good cigar." Just saying that just to make me happy.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show, Brad.
Thank you,
I
Ron,
want to
for
thank you,
inviting me.
Dustin, for being my
Absolutely.
Rhonda
welcome.
replacement.
We need purple hair, and then
Maybe next time.
Well, you know, I'd have to have hair first.
Or you could always do the purple mustache.
Oh, no, I'm not doing that. And I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight. Hope to see you guys next week. I'll have to touch base with Ron to see who we've got for a guest next week. And you all have a great week. Catch us next week.
Later.
See you guys.